All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick. It's a 12-gauge double-barreled Remington. S-Mart's top of the line. You can find this in the sporting goods department. That's right, this sweet baby was made in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Retails for about $109.95. It's got a walnut stock, cobalt blue steel, and a hair trigger. That's right. Shop smart. Shop S-Mart.
Welcome to the Hiding for Horrors podcast, where we discuss all things horrors, from one-off movies to franchises to TV series and expanded media. I'm Mark.
Yeah, I'm Elian.
And today we're reviewing Army of Darkness, released in 1992, directed by Sam Raimi, and written by Sam Raimi and Ivan Raimi.
Ash Williams is magically transported back to medieval times, where he's mistaken for a crucified hero. After accidentally unleashing an army of the dead by misusing the Necronomicon, Ash must battle skeleton warriors and his own evil double, using his chainsaw hand, boomstick, and modern know-how. Ash fights to save the kingdom and return to his own time, though not without chaos, slapstick horror, and heroic one.
But before we get into our movie this week, I have some Haddonfield headlines for us to discuss. First up on the docket today, as we discussed previously, Paranormal Activity shifted some hands around. Now it's in the hands of James Wan and co. And we have received news today that a Paranormal Activity movie will be released in theaters May 2027. We don't know what this is. We don't know if this is reboot. We don't know if this is following continuity. We don't know anything about what this will be. We also don't know another camera found footage type of deal. Is it going to be, full theatrical type? So we are in the dark on all the important bits. But as of right now, there will be an 8th Paranormal Activity movie. Is this the 8th? Well, yeah, technically this will be the 8th. There was a spinoff one, but yeah. So, 9th, I guess. Damn.
I'm just going to say... Oh, sorry. I didn't know if you heard me or not. I was just going to say, James Wan better keep it that way, because was popular for it was just the POV of the camera.
Yeah, we'll see.
But knowing James Wan, he gonna want to put a spin on it, a good spin though.
Well, let it be known he's not directing this movie though.
Then what's he doing?
He's just producing. The director of this movie is a gentleman by the name of Ian Tucson. He has a movie coming out with A24 in March called Undertone that I saw a trailer for recently. But outside of that, yeah.
I should say I've never seen any of those movies.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, we know.
I've never seen any of them.
Have we reviewed them yet? No, right?
Nope.
No, we haven't. We said we were going to do them this year. Moving on, Paranormal Activity, though. Next up on the docket, there was a trailer released for the movie adaptation of the video game, The Mortuary Assistant. The movie will be releasing in theaters in February and releasing in Shudder on March.
That fucking game scared the shit out of me so much.
So this adaptation is coming out February 13th, theaters nationwide, and then streaming Shudder March 27th. Plot follows newly certified mortician Rebecca Owens, who accepts a night shift at a mortuary, embalming bodies alone after hours. As disturbing events escalate, Rebecca uncovers demonic rituals, the dark secrets of her enigmatic mentor, and her own buried trauma, racing to survive the night before her body becomes a vessel for possession. So, I'm pretty interested in seeing what
Oh, totally.
how this movie is gonna come out. I never played the game, but I've watched playthroughs of it, so
It's
I'm
I've never
interested to
heard of
check it out.
this.
really, Mark, I thought you'd be the one to actually know about this. Fair.
I've never heard of this.
Wow.
This is all news to me. I'm discovering stuff. When did this come out, Tuan? When did this game come out? Do you know?
Well, the
Like
game
last
came
year,
out
like
in
two.
the game came out in like 2022.
It's a really good game.
Indie game when it came out at the time, it was indie game and it got really big with people doing let's plays and stuff of it. Um, but yeah, so
I
interested to see
was
how
afraid
this
this
is
was gonna
gonna
happen.
do.
What
I
do you
was
mean?
What?
afraid this was gonna happen. Five Nights at Freddy's, Until Dawn. Now we're bringing back Silent
Oh,
Hill. It's about to be a bunch of bullshit ass movies based off horror video games. Ah, it's gonna piss me off. I'm just saying. You see where I'm coming from, right, Tuan? You know Hollywood loves a trend. They got two of them. They gotta keep on going.
You didn't even see the Until Dawn movie. You can't even pass judgment.
I actually have
hmm.
seen it recently, and it was as bad as I
Wait.
thought it was going to be.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that good either.
Mark, being the pessimist as he is, he'll probably we'll give him one anyway. But he does. But you should watch. Honestly, play through the game. Pretty good. But interested to see how this movie adaptation
What's
is
it called
gonna
again?
go. I did watch The Mortuary
Mortuary Assistant.
Assistant.
Just wanted to recap back to what Twan said. I'm also waiting to see how they're going to do it because like the game comes like what, like 5 different endings or 5 days. So like I'm kind of interested on what they're going to like. How are they going to make it?
Yeah. But as I said earlier, February 13th, theatrical release, Shutter release, March 27th. So maybe
We should
one
go
that we
watch
can
it.
hit come April or something like that as a one off. But moving along, we have a Conjuring prequel film that is releasing next year.
At this point, they're going to take the Warrens down to Atlantis. At this fucking point,
Now, me and Mark literally called this one when we were reviewing the last one. When we saw that couple who were playing, not the couple, we saw the younger versions of Ed and Lorraine. Like we were like, we thought they were going to use them for the TV show though.
there's a
So
TV
now,
show.
yes, no, there's going to be a TV show
What the fuck? Oh my
unless
god!
unless do you think this is replacing the TV show?
According to this article, it still says a Conjuring Universe television series is still in the works.
Oh my god!
This is one of those franchises that just could have died. Like, if I'm being honest, even though I cashed a big chunk of those Conjuring verse movies, honestly, we could have stopped after the Conjuring 2. Like, you just gave us one Annabelle movie and then call it a day. Like, I don't think this is a
I can agree
franchise
with that.
that needed all these fucking movies. And we all know that
I
Ed and
think
Lorraine was a bunch of BS anyway. So like, I don't understand why they keep going. Like, come on.
I al- I also wanted to add the fact just to what you said is that they kept putting like a franchise within a franchise, literally the Conjuring universe. Then it went to like the animal section. Then I still don't know how we finally decided that the La Llorona was part of it because I'm so fucking confused with that portion.
They said
No,
no,
right?
even though they have the same, even though that one character is in both universes, but they officially it's not. It's just
Okay,
stupid.
then yeah, I'm sorry. Like it just felt. Then we had the nun, like its own part. It was just like it was like they had stories within a story. It just kept going back and back.
Tuan, does the article mention any like new producers or like who's taking creative
Yeah,
control?
so the only thing that we have is the prequel Rodriguez Huart. I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong. Apologies there. From a script by Richard Nike and Ian Goldberg. The director has doesn't look like he has actually done a feature film yet. He's done like
No.
mostly television at this point. In addition to like music videos and some other short films of his own.
Uh,
Now that kind of makes me more interested, is because if it's not that guy who did Michael Chavez, who did the past
The
movies,
last,
I could be
ooh.
interested because Michael
You know
Chavez
what?
he was annoying me with his directorial style for these movies that felt so cookie cutter to me.
that's actually
Um,
something that would get me to go see this now, knowing that he's not involved, because that was my big fear. I'm like, oh, do we got to
Wait,
deal like
which ones did Michael Chavez do again? From the
he
he
did
did like the
he
last
did
like
the Nun, he
four?
did the Nun 2, he did the Devil Made Me Do It, he did the most recent one, Last Rites. He did like four movies in the Conjuring universe.
And he
Okay,
did.
Like
I'm
in
only
He
gonna
didn't
say
he
chronology.
do
this.
Lala? He did La Llorona too, didn't he? Wasn't
I
that him?
believe
He
he did. I
That's
believe
how he
he
okay.
got
did.
into. That's how he got into the franchise.
Okay. Well, all I'm gonna say is just from that. I'm now that you said that he's not gonna like directing it. I'll give it, some hope on it. I'm only gonna defend the Nun too, just because out of all those, I kind of it was an okay. That's all I'm gonna say. But everything else is just trash.
Yeah, so I don't know. I really don't know about this one because especially now that I mean we still know they have the TV show coming, so we don't know anything about that either. Um, I'm assuming they're probably going to use the Ed and Lorraine that played the younger versions of them in this most recent one. Because even like they casted them pretty close to Vera from Patrick Wilson as far as like looks wise. Like they did really good with that. So
They did.
I don't know if they're gonna just
I give
let
them
them go
that.
immediately. But yeah, we'll see about that. So the prequel will be called The Conjuring First Communion. And as I mentioned earlier, it was set for a September 10th, 2027 release. So we will see about that once it releases. And last up on our docket today, which is related to our movie a bit, um, not to be confused with the previous Evil Dead movie that we reported has in development. That movie is actually finished filming and will be coming out later this spring, if I recall. Um, there's another Evil Dead movie that just got its main cast up and going. This will be the seventh movie. It is currently untitled. Um, so yeah, we have another Evil Dead movie to look forward to. This will probably be releasing in 2027. I know that I knew that this one was happening. Wasn't much going on with it, as they were focusing on the one coming out this year titled Evil Dead Burn. But this untitled one comes from, I know Sam Raimi and Cole, who are kind of a little bit slightly overseeing Evil Dead a bit. They were wanted to kind of increase um, the volume of Evil Dead movies because since there are like it's canon that there are multiple Necronomicons. So if they're in different areas of the world or that type of thing, anybody could find one, and deadite shenanigans can happen. So some of the cast here have been in movies such as The Nun, more Midnight, and the TV show Midnight Mass, Mad Max Fury Road. A lot of these really known faces, like you've known them if you've seen them in some of the projects that I just named, but they aren't like super known or anything like that. But more Evil Dead, and if it's like what the recent products have been, like 2013 Evil Dead and Evil Dead Rise, which we'll be covering in the coming week. I'm excited. I think Evil Dead Burn probably is going to be really pretty good. Um, I did not watch the full movie from the director that did Evil Dead Rise because it was about giant ass spiders. Not my cup of tea there. So I'm sure he can make a great Evil Dead movie with some nasty shit. But this movie is directed by this untitled one. Be directed by a gentleman named Francis Galuppi. He did a movie named The Last Stop in Yuma County. I don't think this was a horror movie. I think this was like a thriller crime type of movie. I remember hearing about it, but I have not watched it myself to know for sure. But yeah, I see they're definitely trying to get like lesser known directors to kind of take on these projects, which I'm okay with for like horror like the horror movies. To be quite honest, like I feel like a lot of up and coming directors they tend to do um, pretty good work when it comes to horror. It's tend to be a little bit lesser of a budget than um, bigger like way bigger projects, but still big for up and coming director, and they tend to be hungry, so they're trying to get their foot in the door a little more. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with this one for sure. We'll definitely be probably covering this next year. It comes out just the same as will be this year. Evil Dead Burn releases after we get through the rest of our movies. I will kick it back to Mark. This finishes off our Haddonfield headlines, and we'll be discussing Army of Darkness.
So, Army of Darkness. I wasn't prepared for this movie. I thought I was based off the ending of Evil Dead 2, but the ending of Evil Dead 2, which was supposed to be how this movie started, was completely retconned. Not only was it retconned, we got our third retelling of the events that happened in Evil Dead, the first movie. Like, we see that happen for a third time. How many times do we need to see Linda be possessed and become a deadite? Like, how many times do we have to do that? Like, got it the last time. But this time, even with all that, this movie got really, really like far into the campiness, funny, haha. And that's like it was there in the first movie, but it wasn't really there. And this movie kind of just like it all just took over. Like I don't understand like how this franchise changed so fast. Do you, Twan?
Yeah, I wish I could answer that for you because I have no idea what how we strayed this far. I really believe it was more when just digging into the film. I believe it was a lot of Sam Raimi's brother Ivan who helped write it. I think he was mainly incorporating a lot of the more comical slapsticky type stuff. Like Sam Raimi definitely does that, but you've seen in like we did Drag Me to Hell, for example, where it teetered that line really well of like dark comedy. Like it was funny at parts, but it was still it was still like horror based. And I felt it was even a little bit more managed in the second one compared to where we are now at this one. Like if there was a scale from horror to funny, like this movie is immediately on the far end of that, like of it being a comedy as opposed to a horror movie, which seemed to be the goal for one it out of this. So it's not even like one of those things where it's inconsistent or not what the product they wanted to see, because I mean they shot all of this so they knew exactly what they were trying to do here. So as far as what like Sam Raimi and Cole wanted, I guess they did good on that front. But you know what I personally wanted, or maybe some other fans, um, I don't think we really got what we were signing up for here. But I mean, the ending of the second movie kind of set up that it was about to take a different turn when once he landed in medieval times. But as you mentioned, we got another run that took us back to the beginning and sped through all the events, and now we are here once more. So I don't. It does. This movie has like a really big like cult following, which I can see why. Like I could definitely see this being like one of those like late night screenings that pops up. You go see it with some friends have him, but it's just not what I'm expecting or what I really wanted when I had first seen this. Because I saw this movie like years ago. At this point, after I've like found the first Evil Dead movie, and then watched the second one, and then eventually came to this one, and I was like, oh, that's nothing like what I got before out of this. And it's like I can see the fun in it. Like I'm not like a stickler. I'm not like not laughing or not like um, being in tune with what's going on. But it just wasn't really sticking for me as much as I got for real with the first one. But especially with this one, it just didn't stick with me as much. Like whenever I personally think about Evil Dead, I mainly either thinking about the first one or 2013. I rarely do I think of Army of Darkness, and I think it helps that this movie has a different title altogether instead of like being Evil Dead Army of Darkness. Like this called Army of Darkness.
What about you, Elian? What were your thoughts on Army of Darkness?
I genuinely thought, I really did think this was like a parody of the, um, because I've seen both. Well, I've seen the second film because you told me there was no point watching the first film because it goes through it the first 15 minutes. Um, so I did not know or did think it was going to turn into a comedic role. I understood there was there was some form of dark comedy, but this one took it to the point where I'm like, is this even supposed to be a horror film? Just like Swan said, I guess that's what they were leading to, and they did a good job on it. However, I I didn't see this film specifically for the whole world, like for Evil Dead. Um, Watching it, I felt like I was watching like what's that movie? Like movie 54, 52, whatever it's called, scary movie, fucking haunted house. Like they were just like a parody of the actual film, and they actually had the actor that to do it. That's how I felt about this whole film.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying there. I think, and I guess this has always been like my headcanon with these movies because since we know coming into this one that there's a third Necronomicon, or there's three. I've always thought that each movie was like a different like universe. Since we know these different universes exist and whatnot, at least in the canon that we have ongoing with this movie and specific and like the second one, like I've always thought at this point, like um each movie is his own like universal thing of Ash eventually getting involved with these deadites somehow. Like that's been my headcanon about movies the whole time.
Like I was saying, off mic, I'm for the first time excited for a remake. And y'all know I don't like remakes. But I'm so excited to see how like this story can be told in a more like serious, gruesome, like horror vibe. Because like I see the potential of a gore movie and the first two. This one let's move on to the scenes because the moment I knew the moment I knew that this movie was gonna let me down was when we get another shot of the event movie and we have another fucking Linda. And oh my god, could they at least pick actresses that look alike? Every single Linda is completely different from each other. Like every single one of them. And I'm like, bro, only thing that's the same is Ash in this fucking car. And then he cut off his hand, and I was like, wait a minute, that didn't happen. I don't. He didn't cut off his hand in that last one that I remember. That definitely didn't happen. What happened to old girl who actually opened the portal? Y'all was completely like. But that's another thing. Every time they do these recreations, they just leave characters out. Characters who are actually a big part of the movie. Like y'all just dropped that woman completely. Like y'all just left, erased her, and now he's landing with his car. And I was like, I'm over this shit. And now
Oh,
y'all redoing the first movie. Y'all redoing the ending scene, and I was just like, this whole opening is pissing me off. Because why do we do this? And it was downhill from there. But one scene I did like is like all of a sudden when after he killed the deadites that was in the little tour, all of a sudden your old girl who was just slapping him is now like, oh my god, Ash. Like what the fuck? You were just trying to beat this man's ass. And now you trying to I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. But what about you guys? Were any scenes that stood out for you guys good, bad, or indifferent?
um, for me, there were there was one particular scene that made me that they just didn't have enough time, or like the movie was really short, so they had to do something to make it longer. Was when they gave him the hand, they kept zooming in, they kept going back and forth, and I was like, What was the point of this scene? I was getting
Honestly,
really
that's just Raimi. I'm the director. He just do shit like that.
I was getting so irritated. I'm like, what is this? And it kept
Like
zooming in
his
after every
style.
fucking. Another thing that I really liked was how he hated the girl in the beginning, and then they just fucked, and then they literally just fucked. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Um, Another thing that I also like is I liked it because of the character and the actor. Like, I didn't mind Ash at all. To be fair, I actually really liked the acting for it. One thing I was when he was fighting the skeleton. I thought was really fun. Like he just kept. I don't. Do you guys remember the skeleton scene where he was just fighting them, trying to dodge them, and one of them went.
Yeah.
Not about it. To be fair, I can't. I really can't think of any more memorable scenes aside from what just Mark just said about the little guys.
Yeah. A couple because like and it's I got a couple because it's not like I really like hate this movie. It's just compared to the others, it's just a whole. It's basically a whole different product. The Deadites are barely they're in there, but barely so. Honestly, we took the Deadites out, there wouldn't be much of a difference, to be quite honest with you. And how the movie happened, but that's not a here nor there. Just like dislike. Um, the whole his little speech that he gave to the town about his shotgun or his boomstick. I do love that part of the movie. Oh, like one thing I can say, which has been consistent across all these movies, is Bruce Campbell amazing as Ash. Like no matter what happened with the movies, you can always tell that he was enjoying himself and doing what he could to like make Ash like the best character that he could. So love that about him and the characterization of him as Ash. So that was great. Another scene is when he once he gets to the like the three Necronomicons and he can't remember the phrase.
Oh my
Even after the
god!
guy told him, even after the guy told him, the wizard was like, "Hey, remember these three words." And I don't know
He
why.
almost.
I felt like that'd be Mark.
Facts. I can approve. I approve this
I
one.
do. I think the part he was saying it quietly because he didn't know what the last word was. He said, "I know it starts with an N."
Like I
I'm
don't
like,
know why. Like
imagine.
when I got there, I was like, I just feel like that'd be Mark. Like I feel like the wizard be talking to him, be like, I got
That's exactly me. 100%.
it. Yeah, that's always a funny ass one to me. Uh, and one more that I did like just because of how like campy it was is when he finally killed his evil version with the catapult. I always thought like even when I was younger, I thought that was just pretty funny. Uh, Scenes that I dislike though, the whole bit with like the mini ashes, hate that part. I do not like that part of the movie. That part is so stupid to me. Um, and I get it's supposed to be like that's like the bit and supposed to be kind of stupid like that, but it just was not giving. Bruce Campbell just sells it really well that you find it endearing a bit, but didn't really care for it though. That really sums up like most of the scenes for me. And since we're on scenes, we could transition into the kills. Were there any kills that you liked in this movie, Elion?
The kill scene that I really liked is when they were trying to throw him into that hole. I deadass thought that was like a fucking lava hole. Only turned out to be a fucking like some fighting ring. And literally down there was this ugly ass guy and that woman. And I think the other thing that I liked is when they killed the old lady. Um the one that was like possessed. Do you remember that part? It was
Yeah,
literally after the fighting ring.
when he killed the deadite, that was
Mhm.
that came up. Or are
Yeah.
you
Actually, I
talking? Or
really
wait, are you talking about the one that he killed like in the pit? One when like they were in like the chamber and
both.
she
No, no, I'm
turned
talking about
around.
both.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, and that's another thing that is like a downside for this one because Sam, like the whole goal of this one was to get like a PG-13 rating, but they still gave it an R rating, even though
Really?
there was still nothing like happening in this movie like that. Like that's why we barely got any actual gore and things that matter. We really only got that huge ass like blood geyser when well, not Ash, when they put that guy in the pit and that like all the blood came out. But outside of that, there really wasn't a lot, which is what kind of endeared me towards the series coming from the first one. But yeah, once we got to this one, especially the kill, the lack thereof weren't as prevalent or important. But the Deadeye kills that Ash did get in like the pit, those were cool. But uh, not counting any of the Deadites, everything else that we saw was just like skeletons getting like demolished. Like of course the one that he had in the complete end of the movie when he was back at his store and he took out that deadite, that was a good bit to like end on. Yeah, but outside of that, yeah, there wasn't much else to go off of with it, unfortunately, and at least in the kill department.
Right, of course.
Um, I feel like that goes pretty well. Like there wasn't much to go around this time. Like we got a couple little, but it just didn't really have the same punch as it did in like the first and second one, but mostly the first one for sure. First up on our character list today, though, we have Lord Arthur, who was basically in charge of everything once Ash first got to to like the medieval town that he was in, and that he was not fucking with Ash like immediately. Which you know what, I don't blame him because if I was in the Middle Ages and this random man just like spawned out of the sky with a car, and we don't even know what a car is yet. I'm thinking he's an op too. Like I really don't even blame him from thinking that he was an op. Because what do you mean this man just came out of the sky with unknown ray, and
I find it
you
really
in you
funny
in a
when they try
war?
to fucking. I kind of really hate where they kept in the background. They try to kill the car.
Yeah,
Oh my god!
so I don't. So I didn't blame him one bit for being suspicious of him because I mean at that point at that time frame like shit who would so it makes sense immediately, but he Ash gets the pit and everything, and him and the like Arthur and his wise man, they help him out. He was a cool guy after that point. Like he was trying to make sure his citizens was cool was they make sure his citizens were protected for the most part. But he once we got past that beginning little arc of him being in the movie, and like introducing us to like mainly like the time period and kind of stuff like that. It mainly was just the Ash show, which I mean it would be because Ash is our main guy. So he didn't have as much to go off of once we got later into the movie, but setting up that everything at the beginning as it needed to be, I was okay with that and the way his character was portrayed in that sense. But we are going to move on to Sheila, which I will let Elion tell us thoughts on Sheila.
Sheila, she had a mission. She had a mission. She got eaten up multiple ways, beginning till end. Um, I genuinely don't remember too much about Sheila. To be fair, I just remember she was. I thought she was like the town whore because like she just gave herself out to Ash so quickly. I genuinely did think that. I'm not joking. I really thought so, and I found it so funny how she basically fell in love with Ash, and then when he came back, she's like, "Just pillow talk." I'm like, "Girl, come on."
I guess my thing with Sheila was like she was immediately, um, as soon as Ash got there and like she was told that her brother was killed, slapped the shit out of him, and and then and hit him, and then as soon as he was like he was the shit, even Ash was like, oh, he's like, you punch me when you see me, but now he was like, now I'm up, you all on me.
Yeah.
But he was fucking with her though, so he can't even say nothing.
Nah, for real.
But since it is on the tip of our tongue, we will be discussing our main protagonist, leader of the Deadites, Ash Williams, and Evil Ash as well. Um, yeah, Ash was definitely at his most. I mean, the movie itself at his most comical in this one, the way he was portrayed, which brought to life perfectly, as I said earlier, by Bruce Campbell. He did a really good job with how, um, like he covered the character. Like you could tell that he really loved playing this character. He's willing to do all the goofy shit while he's him. So I appreciate him for that. But while I was okay with his character's arc, because his whole thing was him just trying to get home and all of that, the movie itself just does not really an interesting case for Ash, and I feel like the on is it's pretty mediocre. Like if that's because one that whole little portion where we get the mini Ashes that eventually spawns Evil Ash, which I really did not like or care for Evil Ash. Like as that whole concept was pretty boring to me personally.
Mhm.
Um, like it being a manifestation of and not like change anything. Like I feel like they could have done something cooler. Uh, and having him to like kill his evil self, and then it comes back as like a deadite, and raises the army and the army of the dead and all that stuff. Like it it does work, but I feel like we could have done something else with it. Like if we had kept the evil Ash, like not killed him off, like maybe he could have went back to the town and posed as Ash and like got us some shit that way, and tried to turn the people against him or something like that. Like I feel like there could have been more ways that you could have done something more interesting than him killing the evil version of himself, it coming back and um being like the leader of the Army of Darkness. So it wasn't the worst thing. I think it could have just been done differently. But there were parts of it that I like because of just Bruce Campbell's performance. He's able to win me over really good with the way he portrays both versions. But what were your thoughts on Ash and Evil Ash, Elion?
Like he's the only reason why I enjoyed the comedic relief for it. Like anything outside of like Bruce Campbell and his character and how he portrayed Ash, I felt like it was just too much, or it was just so excessive to the point where it's just like it's trying to. So himself, actor who you just said enjoy playing Ash, and he enjoyed playing this kind of character. He's the reason. He was the only reason that I actually liked the comedic relief. And I also still want to piggyback on like what you said about like the whole world, like like the art couldn't. I couldn't get with it. I understand that he wanted to get home, but medieval times was just one of the most random things. Like what was it like in the beginning? Like what or like cover? They sit down in some kind of like somewhere in the ruins or something like that. They found the book there. I'm guessing they wanted to try to figure out the
Mm-hmm.
origin, like for the book itself, but it just didn't work. I honestly would have thought better, but I understood that they were trying to go for a comedic relief. If they kind of like they could have retconned the whole in the sense where I'm saying like they just take him back and he's back in the same place where
Yeah.
he's with his girlfriend all over again. And he just repeats it over and over again until he gets it right. I would have been okay with that. Um, or um, he was there. I can't really put too much. Like I understood, like he becomes a deadite. He becomes all that, but I really don't have much to say about it. So it's like it didn't really much like how it went, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all.
And did you have any thoughts on any of the Deadites that appeared in this
Mm,
movie?
not at all.
What deadites?
Exactly.
What deadites appeared in this movie? See, this is what pissed me off. This is what made me mad. Again, all I knew coming into this franchise was Ash Williams and his chainsaw and him fighting a bunch of deadites all cocky-eyed and any. So that's what I thought I was getting. I didn't get it from the first two movies. I expected it to go balls to the walls, Ash just batshit crazy on deadites in the third movie. And that's not what we got. Half the movie, there are no deadites. Like, I don't understand.
I wish I
Uh,
knew.
And then the ones that we did get, I was like this is it.
Unfortunately, yes. We were not given much at all in this movie as far as Deadites. We got a couple here and there, but they were taken out with a couple of shotgun shots and nothing else. Um,
When they weren't even able to get killed by bullets last time. Now they can.
Apparently, yeah, it wasn't. That's the one part of this movie that I dislike the most. It's just that the lack of Deadites. We get the Army of Darkness and its skeletons. Like what?
like, and for all this craziness, you bring in y'all showing us the Linda stuff one more time. I feel like one of those deadites we saw, like the witch deadite. Why couldn't that be Linda? Like you're gonna show us the bullshit again. You might as well incorporate it to the rest of
Mm.
the movie. But no, and it was just
I was so frustrated because this was the movie he kept referencing and kept like, okay, I've seen this, I've seen that. And so I thought this movie was going to be so much more, and it was nothing. Just us watching Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell do a bunch of cockadoodle, cockamamie bull. Oh, yeah, this is an Evil Dead movie. Let me throw a Deadite in there for a couple scenes. Because that's the movie that we were promised at the end of Evil Dead 2.
I
Sorry, I think I cut
can't wait.
Elian's off. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't anything at all.
Yeah, I can't. I feel like the Deadeye representation is redeemed in 2013. Thankfully, um, yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like my headcanon that this is just like a whole different universe in series, just because of how different each one is, and specifically, this movie just not even having Evil Dead in its title, it just being named Army of Darkness. It's like it honestly feels like its own thing. The only connection that we really have to it being Evil Dead is just Ash himself. But if we really like took the same thing and changed the character name of Ash to somebody else, but kept everything else in here, like this would be just something different altogether. But Ash is that connection to the other one, so it's still in the Evil Dead canon. But this movie always felt like its own thing to me, um, even down to like the Deadites and them trying to get that PG-13 rating, so they took a lot of the blood and gore out, and the MPAA, they were not fans of Sam Raimi up until this point because of like Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. So the rating they gave, because nothing in this movie gave rated R. Like this movie would be very PG-13 these days.
It really, I feel like it with the way that we are, it's PG.
No, I didn't think that. I didn't think that, but I see what you mean though. But that takes off our character list, and I will bring us into our behind the scenes info and facts, starting off with the budget for Army of Darkness, which was 11 million. It's only 1.5 million. Facts. This was the only film in the original trilogy made with major studio backing, Universal Pictures, giving Raimi a much larger budget or oversight than the first two films. Ash's double-barrel shotgun, nicknamed Boomstick, wasn't planned as a franchise catchphrase. It just stuck in one of the most quoted lines in horror history. Universal worried it would confuse horror fans, but Raimi leaned and fully into the Three Stooges style comedy, which later helped the film become a cult classic. Raimi shot multiple endings. The theatrical ending, Ash returning to S-Mart, was pushed by Universal, while Raimi's darker ending had Ash oversleep, waking a ruined feud scream, no, later restored in director's cuts. There's a sequel series to the film called Ash vs. Evil Dead. It continues the Evil Dead saga decades later, with Ash Williams after unleashing the Deadites once again. As the Necronomicon's evil spreads, Ash, haunted by memories of Linda, Cheryl, and the horrors tied to the Nobi family, teams up with new allies to battle the undead. Along the way, he confronts his past, his destiny, and the legacy of the chaos he helped create in a blood-soaked mix of horror, comedy, and apocalyptic mayhem. First airing in 2015, the series was canceled after 3 seasons on April 29, 2018. However, of 2022, Campbell confirmed that an animated revival was in active development. And while this fact isn't on our list, one fact that I do about this movie is that the original title was going to be Medieval Dead, and I wish they would have kept that
Yeah.
title. And lastly, some critics' reactions. The film currently sits at a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert gave the film 2 out of 4 stars and wrote, "The movie isn't as funny or entertaining as Evil Dead 2, however, maybe because the comic approach seems recycled." Lastly, the Washington Post praised the film's style. Bill Pope's cinematography is gymnastic and appropriately frenetic. The visual and makeup effects from artists William Tony Gardner and others are incredibly imagined. But enough of them. What about us? Mark, do you cash or pass Army of Darkness?
I'm gonna pass. Like Tawan said in the behind the scenes info facts, how one of the original titles would have been was Medieval Dead. That would have worked for me because that would have made me go into this movie with different expectations. Because if you call the movie The Army of Darkness, I want to see the fucking Army of Darkness, and I want it to be a gore fest. You know, deadites being plucked and shot and beat up, and humans being torn apart. Like I wanted to see with the Army of Darkness, or at least give me some very crazy creep beetle of insanity. But no, we didn't get any of that. Just slapstick. It's like any other travel back to Camelot movie from the 90s. Like the one with the fucking baseball kid who went back to Camelot. Like a bunch of stupid shit. This is what this movie was. And what was the point of recreating what happened to Linda for us to not see Linda again? You already did that the last movie. You had a whole movie with fucking Linda, and now we're bringing her back just to leave her at the opening again? It makes no sense. It's a pass. The fuck was this?
Leon?
I'm just gonna pass because I was so confused. I enjoyed the moment, but I was so confused on what this film was supposed to be. Even though like it kind of contradicts what I was saying prior, I was more confused on the fact that I couldn't understand where the story was going to be taken, why in this time era, why the way it was shot. At the same time, like I don't know why it was more. I felt like it was a comedy over like any horror. Like even if there was like just even the horror parts felt like a comedy. I felt like it was just like a skit. Like at the end of the day, like I felt like it was just a parody of the Evil Dead, just going into it. So that's why I passed.
And for myself, I do think I might have to pass on Darkness. Like, I see its campiness value, and for those listening, you know, I am a fan of the camp when it comes to certain, like, products, but I think this leans too far into the camp, whereas I think Evil Dead 2 told the line well, but this one, you know, as we earlier, like, Raimi wanted to lean into like Three Stooges style slapstick comedy, and that's not what I initially was. That's not what I initially came here for. I believe that the tone that we get, what you know, once we get further on into the series and the latest 2 entries, I feel it is more my speed. But even if this movie had kept the tone like the first and second one, I would still be okay. But the way it leaned too much into with this one, I was just not really a big fan of. Bruce Campbell, as usual, was great. I can't sing his praises any higher, but not even, you know, everything that he was doing here, you know, could like bring this up for me. So I think I will pass on Army of Darkness.
And with that, you've come to the end of the Haddonfield Horrors podcast. Next week, we'll be reviewing Evil Dead 2013, the modern remake of the Evil Dead movie. I'm excited because I'm hoping for something gory and crazy, but then the confines of the story I saw in the first one. So for the first time ever, I'm actually excited to watch a remake. And I hope I enjoy it.
If you want gory this week, you go get gory.
Or I can't wait. But that is for next week. Until then, Good night.
If you like this episode, please be sure to check out some from the Haddonfield Horror Cemetery, where we've covered big franchises such as Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Saw, or one-off reviews like The Blackening or Hereditary. You can follow Haddonfield Horrors on Instagram and TikTok, where the host posts updates and mini reviews. Full episodes are available on several podcasting platforms, including Spotify, as well as YouTube. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. The Haddonfield Horrors podcast is produced by Mark Smart, Tawan Griffin, and Elian Cordova, themed by Lethal Injection, and edited by Mark Smart.
The Haddonfield Horror Podcast is a Letter to Media production.
Should we do an intro?